What was the moment you realized that climbing this ladder was a dead end?
Yeah. So in this journey to become the next John Mayer, I was actually on this tour with a friend of mine named Steve Moakler. And this was early on when I was, just trying to figure out what it was that I wanted to do with my life, chase this dream. And, he and I are on this tour. And what I was experiencing during this was Steve was not even trying. And the people in the audience were singing his songs. He was selling 3 to 4 times as much merchandise as I was every night. And the spotlight mindset in those moments just had me caught in a comparison trap. I felt like my success was how I was doing in relation to him. And so in this, when you're in your early 20s, it's a pretty difficult situation. You're trying to figure out who you are, and you're looking to others to help define success and your own value. So, the spotlight mindset has us, comparing ourselves to others. But what I've learned over the last, 15 years as I've navigated this journey is it's not so much about, comparing ourselves to others as much as it is kind of focusing on what it is that defines success for us. And, what is it that really lights us up and gives us passion? And so what actually I've learned over this time is I started to do more work behind the scenes. I realized in that tour, I got as much enjoyment and fulfillment out of organizing the logistics of the tour than I did singing songs and performing on a stage. And so this journey has led me to start to see, okay, there's this verse in Psalms, Psalm 37:4 says, "Delight in the Lord, he will give you the desires of your heart." So I started to look at that verse through the lens of, okay, if God is the one giving me these desires, then I should be paying attention to how my desires change over time. So this desire to be in the spotlight all of a sudden started to shift, and I realized, oh my gosh, I'm passionate about the logistics and the details and all of that. And now fast forward to 10 years from that moment, here I am, as a behind the scenes guy running operations for a business like StoryBrand and working with Dawn. And I just found so much fulfillment and enjoyment playing that role, not comparing myself to others and trying to be something that I really didn't want to be necessarily. So it's that path that we all kind of navigate and go through. But for me, that pivotal moment started to happen when I just started to see my desires shifting, and I'm experiencing this tension of this comparison. And, you just start to pay attention to these things. And I think it can help us navigate that path a little bit easier.
Yeah, you kind of rise above it and go, okay, what is actually happening here?
Yeah.
Because what's funny is as you were talking, I was like, there's a guy out there who would just give anything to go on tour with Steve Moakler. And Steve Moakler's probably thinking, I would give anything to be that next guy in the arenas, and it never ends, right?
Yeah.
So that's a great reminder there. So as a leader, they're already in this elevated position. If you're leading a team, there's already an elevation there. It can be easy to fall into these traps that you're talking about. How do we go from being power-driven to problem-focused like you're talking about?
In 2020, so here's the sports, for all the sports people out there, here's a little sports story.
Feels like a personal attack, Tim, but thank you.
I didn't want to say, George, are we into sports? I didn't want to.
Sure, I can go there with you.
Okay. So 2020, LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers win the NBA Finals. And so there's another trophy that's given out in the NBA at the end of every season to the scoring leader. And it's a big deal to be the scoring leader. Michael Jordan won this award 10 times, record-setting 10 times. So you have a guy like LeBron James. He has all the skill and talent in the world to be the scoring leader. But what I think is interesting is in 2020, the year they won the finals, LeBron didn't win the scoring title. In fact, he wasn't in the top 5 even. But what LeBron James did win, he was the assist leader. So what that says to me is the way he chose to play the game and ultimately how he and his team won was because he focused on the assist. So as a leader, we talked a little bit about this, the what's in it for me mindset can just shape us so much. But what if we started to think about how do we operate and live in the assist? How do we actually see leadership not as a power play and a place that allows us to be served by more people, but actually what if leadership and these positions of influence give us the opportunity to serve more people, not less? So this shift, I think, for us is to go from that, this is all about me, to a, what if success is in the assist, right? So every day we are up against decisions where we have to choose how we're going to live. So what I talk about in the book is we're operating in this tension between the spotlight mindset and living in the way of the secret society. And it's exactly that. It's not a problem to solve. It's a tension to manage. And so tensions to manage, another way to think about this is there's not a day that we wake up and say, guys, I'm like Jesus. I did it.
You've made
I
it.
did it. That point never happens. We have to make decisions along the way to help us navigate. Are we going to live one way or the other? And I think this tension between the spotlight mindset and living in the way of the secret society is exactly that. So you're going to be up today. Anyone listening, you're going to be up against a decision today where you're going to be tempted to make it about you. Are you going to do that? Or are you going to maybe take that elevated road and say, how can I be about the assist today? How can I help somebody else win? How can I have this who am I here for mentality, right? How can I be like a Michael Collins and just see that there is power and meaning being a part of the team, not necessarily worrying about how you're perceived by others or, if you're seen as a leader who is, quote, successful, right? So it's these decisions that I think that we make every day that really just start to shape this path that ultimately I hope we head towards, that side of living in the way of the secret society.